spineless wonder returns. He was the most progressive president since FDR. You know him. You love him. People used to love him. Bernie Sanders. Have you seen Biden doing anything about the oligarchy during his 4 years as president? That's a dumb question, and the answer is he didn't do anything, Bernie. Bernie, listen, if they got you held hostage or something, blink twice. That's how you might get your dignity back.
Biden, in his farewell address last night, warned against oligarchs and extreme wealth. I'm just wondering, do you have you seen any evidence of Biden doing anything about the oligarchy during his 4 years of presidency that he warns about?
Well, in fairness, he has been on domestic issues the most progressive president since FDR. And we've created millions of jobs, rebuilding our infrastructure. He was the first president to take on the pharmaceutical industry and lower the cost of prescription drugs. No small things. I know that he wanted to raise the minimum wage. In terms of the American Relief Act that we passed during COVID, we cut childhood.
Yes, these are all excuses, but nothing happened because people were still struggling economically. Torwin says, I saw Bernie tweeting out his thanks for Biden. I almost hurled. So did I.
Poverty by 40%, extended unemployment. We have put more money into sustainable energy and energy efficiency, combating climate change than any president in history. So he has a strong record. But if your question is, do I think, and by the way, it is no small thing that the president of the United States said what is absolutely true. And Jake, we don't talk about this enough. And that is when you got three people on top who own more wealth than the bottom half of them.
Jesus Christ, what a broken record. You said this before, Bernie. I mean, I've lost count how many times I've heard you say this.
American society, 170 million people. You know what? That's oligarchy. When you have massive concentration of ownership in our economy, fewer and fewer corporations owning and controlling the economy, that's oligarchy. When you have more and more billionaires, whether it's Musk owning Twitter or Murdoch owning Fox, or other billionaires owning newspapers, that's oligarchy. And lastly, and most importantly, and I think, Biden made this point, is we have just come through an election where you get one vote, I get one vote, but billionaires were able to spend many hundreds of millions of dollars to elect or defeat the candidates that they wanted. You add all of that up, massive concentration of ownership, massive income and wealth inequality, massive amounts of political power. You know what? You just can't go around saying, well, Russia and Putin, they're an oligarchy, but we're not. You know what? We are.
So.
Oh, yeah. So we are. So, yeah. And the thing is, Bernie, your friend Joe did nothing. He remained quiet about the oligarchs. He never was going to bring them up. He's never going to push back against them because they were his bread and butter. But you were so quick with the Trump derangement syndrome to say that, oh, well, somehow Joe Biden is going to, be better. So many people who invested in Kamala's campaign, they lost like what, $2.5 billion investing in that campaign. Those were oligarchs too, Bernie. I do want to pull this up here. Shout out to Case Study QB, who's wrongly being censored. Let's play this video.
Mark, Democrats are praising President Biden's warning in his speech last night, his address to the nation from the Oval Office, warning of a coming, what he called oligarchy and tech industrial complex seeking to take over America. That was his warning. Trump, as you know, ran as a populist, but has aligned with various billionaires like Elon Musk. Is this a valid concern that Biden expressed?
I heard Bernie Sanders share that same concern, but I don't know how widely that is shared. I think that the reality is that Democrats have gotten a lot of support from Hollywood billionaires each and every cycle.
Yes, Hollywood billionaires. But by the way, knowing what happened to L.A., yeah, I think L.A. is the recovery for L.A. It's going to be a long and arduous march. And a lot of those oligarchs are going to be looking for different grounds. So prepare yourselves and pretend to be shocked when you see maybe your small town and community get a huge influx of oligarchs moving in. They're going to take everything so that you own nothing.
The fact that Elon Musk, I think, was very helpful to the Trump campaign, I think just is a reflection of the fact that there were a lot of people that wanted change, including him. So I wouldn't accept the oligarchy challenges yet.
Alyssa, let me get your thoughts. Some MAGA supporters.
So, wait. Why are you looking at the camera there, buddy? Why are you looking at the camera there, buddy? Yeah, we see you too. Yeah, the oligarchs are a problem because if they're buying everything, they're buying off our politicians. We don't have a voice.
Like Steve Bannon are warning about the influence of various types like Elon Musk. Does this have the potential to split Trump's MAGA base?
Listen, I think the base is ultimately with Donald Trump, but I think it could still create some friction. Listen, Elon Musk and Donald Trump have been great allies and partners through the campaign. Elon Musk funneled a lot of campaign cash to him, but I think it could get more complicated once Donald Trump is sworn in on Monday and he is the president. He is the most powerful man on the planet, and Elon's got to take a back seat. And there are going to be decisions Donald Trump chooses to make that are not necessarily going to align with his. So I think similar, frankly, to how you saw friction in the first Trump term where Steve Bannon was put on the outside. Similar could happen with Elon Musk because at the end of the day, Donald Trump's going to do what he wants to do. And I think after, all these, 8 years, 10 years he's been in the public life, his base tends to follow Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone.
Interesting. Kate, CNN's Kayla Tauscher, one of our correspondents, writes this about the Biden teams failing to cultivate.
By the way, I want to acknowledge this. If a smart city pops up in LA, and it will, you'll know these fires were, well, I got to be careful here. But, raising an eyebrow. There we go.
Elon Musk as an ally early in the Biden administration. She writes this, and I'm quoting now. Some have wondered whether their actions to exclude Musk may have emboldened the entrepreneur to back Trump and pour a quarter.
Rebecca Freeman, not related to the subject, but I've been seeing this word. Gen Z, is this really a word? I mean, look, hey, I'm not one to judge, but if this truly is it, okay, fine, whatever. Skibbity. I think I said it wrong, but fine. I'll accept this. The king will allow it to exist.
$1 billion into efforts to re-elect him. You worked in the Biden White House. Was this a mistake?
Well, maybe. I mean, we've seen that Musk has obviously put a lot of money and influence into helping Donald Trump. So perhaps you could argue it was a mistake not to more closely cultivate a relationship with him. But I also think it is an awful indictment of where we are in our country, and actually sort of reinforces what Biden was saying last night. If we're in a place where we are having to play to a billionaire's ego in order to make policy decisions those decisions should be made with Americans all across the country in mind, not Elon Musk or another tech billionaire's ego in mind.
All right, guys. Excellent.
Yeah, yeah, excellent conversation. But it isn't a conversation. What it is we've always been an oligarchy, okay? Our government's been bought. Jimmy Dore called it out, Due Dissidents, RBN, Hardlands Media, INN, everybody across the political spectrum at this point. We know that our politicians are bought, and yet now Biden's saying, there's a danger of an oligarchy. There's a danger of an oligarchy. Well, you're too late for that, Biden, because you were participating in it. You were with that system. It was part of the system. You were in it. You were part of that club. And what does Bernie do? Most progressive president since FDR. Look, there's a lot of criticism I have of FDR, but, at the end of the day, between Biden and him, two different people altogether. And as Biden leaves office, ask yourself, my friends, how's your wallet holding up? Because he definitely did everything he could to make sure that his owners, corporate donors, were still A-okay.
If you fool me once, it's because I didn't think a guard was needed. If you fool me twice, it's because I didn't learn the lesson, so it bears repeating. If you try the same play 3 times running, it's because you know what's coming, and you didn't come to lead, you came to purposefully be misleading. Democracy is dry. It's been a century bleeding. The husk is gaping open to the sky, out in the field where all the sheep just keep on circling and worrying and bleeding. They're waiting for the shepherd that they've tried to hide their faith in, but he's so appealing. They'd gladly give their fleece. It's such a freeing feeling that even when he leads them to the ledge and starts to urge them on, they're positively beaming. They were told that they were on their way to save democracy, so even as they plummet, they just gloat. They don't consider screaming. And halfway up the cliff, the shepherd's cozy little mittens wrap around the staff of shattered human hopes on which he's leaning. He shows the gentle grin that used to stir your inner spark, and he says, "Not me, us," as he gestures to the oligarchs. He knows that if he runs, they're going to stop him like a stolen car. And he'll easily surrender because it bought a lot of time for laying mines in all the grassroots. Suddenly, the tiniest of movements gets you blown apart. Suddenly, you're in a play that's set on an election day and voting for the fire, unaware you're playing Joan of Arc. Suddenly, the shepherd pulls the rug and slips a hood across your clueless mug, and everything goes zero dark. I'm gonna warn you once more before it's 2024 and you fuck around and find out who your heroes are. To take a step back from the herd and you'll learn that you can spot who all the shearers are. If you really want to know the product that they're selling, I can take you where the mirrors are. If you think your voice is finally ready, I can tell you where the lyrics are. I hid them in a box I had to bury neath the cobble when they carpet bombed the promenade and raided all the street bazaars. Now all we've got's the marketplace, and you're too broke to even bother asking what the options for your treatment are. Suddenly, the raw debris of homeless human dignity will find it has 100 teeth for every badge and sweeper's arm. Suddenly, they speak in solidarity and each is armed. Suddenly, the sheep can see the shepherd for his truest form and all pitch in at once to help him buy the farm. And now it's zero dark. And all is calm and peaceful save the distant wail of sirens that approach beside the flames of dawn. Suddenly, the carrot's just a string that's on a stick, and all your movements make you sick because the prize is gone. Now, we could go and flee into the forest low and meek, or we can exercise our right to feast and go and graze on Biden's lawn. Because he's been sowing seeds that seep a toxin out to sap a bit from each of us and keep on leaching decades after Biden's gone. So regardless who they summon out of hell to come and do the job, it will not feel like Biden's gone. But in that time of hopelessness, you cannot trust the shepherd when he once again comes asking you to humor him his siren song. And it's cute that you can innocently, honestly assume that's just a symptom of a system that was wired wrong, and not the standard feature, basic function, primary objective of a mass hypnosis firebomb. You don't need to know the words to cry along. Someday it'll hit you like an officer who pistol whipped their ride along. Broke his jaw and kept his job and kept it moving right along. That voting isn't red or blue or black or white or right or wrong. Voting's like a firing squad where you can choose the firearm. It's slow extinction by and large. It's Super Tuesday supercharged. It's all your futures, roots and all, just tossed out on a garbage barge. It's everybody dropping out to push the biggest oligarch. It's everybody voting fire, registered as Joan of Arc.